Good evening to all our attendees. Our next speaker, Mr. Christian Schmitz, CISO at ownCloud, speaking on today's topic, Unified Cloud Platform for Science and Education. Over to you, Mr. Christian.
Thank you, Melvin, for the introduction. And thank you to all the attendees to be here. Thank you to the hosting and Omren. And I'm very excited to be presenting our approach to our solution in the NREN world. And I'm looking forward to physical meetings hopefully soon in the future. So with that said, let's start off with what is ownCloud? Generally, we consider ourselves the secure enterprise file sharing solution. We are an open source project that was founded in 2010. It's headquartered in Germany. It's the largest open source file sharing solution worldwide, and we really appreciate the positive embracement of open source on the previous speaker slides. We have approximately 50 million users. It's sometimes with open source difficult to say how many exactly. We have in excess of 200,000 installations globally and featured in Gartner's reports. And we consider ourselves an open platform for productivity and security in the digital collaboration space with open source security and usability as our main hallmark features. Now, with that said, I would like to start off because I've had many discussions with colleagues from the NREN world. What would you consider a success? If you had a solution that is almost, even if you're a local NREN, adopted globally and the user distribution would be similar to the heat map depicted here, I would consider that a good success for a local NREN because it's very difficult to say from the picture alone where this is, except that it may not be in Siberia or the Arctic Circle or Greenland. But let's get to that later. So what are the factors that really constitute a successful platform for an NREN? We think that there are a bunch of legacy solutions and there are modern requirements. The modern requirements are often driven by usability. If you don't have a solution that features usability, your users will often refrain from using it. Then you need to have security. We are seeing more and more ransomware attacks and whatnot. So unless you have security, which in a way is enabled by usability, because only when your users are really in your platform, you can actually effectively enable security, otherwise they resort to shadow IT. Then you can start with integration into existing services or various services and have a bouquet of services. And once you have that through the operational life cycle of services, you would want to have flexibility because nothing is as changing as the things in information technology. So with that said, let's look at the typical legacy solutions that we see. We see FTP servers, file servers, remote access VPN solutions, SharePoint, public cloud solutions, and all of them fall short in one way or the other. And this is why we think that to meet the requirements of a modern unified platform, we have something to offer that can be interesting. Our mantra, number one mantra, is all files can be accessed anywhere at any time, asterisk considering that the user has the right to do so, of course. Supporting the web client, the Windows, Mac, and Linux client on the desktop machines, and of course, mobile apps for Android and iOS. With that said, it doesn't make sense to have files if you can't do something with them. So our hallmark idea is, of course, we also want to have an integration into Office environments. So you can edit documents directly. And with the previous statement, we also enable more than one Office solution. So you can use Microsoft Office Online Server or Office 365. You can use Collabora or only Office. Here, all at work on the same presentation featured on one of our customers' sites, which is at CERN. That was mentioned in the previous discussion on the CPU course. Here, we're showing them how they're using our application layer. And that leads you or us to the next point, and I believe it's one of the points that is a very popular buzzwords these days: digital sovereignty. And we believe that for NNREN, the value has shifted from the network layer further up, even going towards identity with eduroam and edugain, and also to the application platform from identity. So we think that value is on the application platform. And we suggest that your application platform should be chosen to be a cloud agnostic ecosystem so that you can deploy it anywhere, be it an on-premise deployment, a hybrid deployment, or a public cloud deployment. That way you can make the choice that is best for you, because your application platform is your value center. So you should own it. This is our suggestion. And infrastructure, and also infrastructure as a service, as we see from the big hyperscalers. They are your cost centers. We suggest to not lock into a specific vendor, because business relationships may change, costs may change, metrics may change that are not predictable. And is that possible to do? Well, we think it is. We've heard very impressive numbers before, but generally speaking, just looking at individual deployments, these of course don't run into the billions. So we are more looking at individual deployments. Here is a customer that we have in Germany. It's 100% on-premise deployment. Right now they're in the 200,000. So this is not the most recent graphic. And they are scaling easily, linearly into the hundreds of thousands of users over multiple entities. And for us, I think the multiple entity part is important, because as a unified structure, I think unified should not only be the infrastructure, but also the journey of an education platform. From the school to the college to the university, it should be the same platform, maybe with a different flavor, but the platform should be the same, so that they can build upon and compound on their experience. And we can see here that this experience and a compounding adoption is a very high and very real scenario. We are seeing at CERN a very, very clear, as you can see in the graphics, from the load pattern, you can clearly see when the end of the year closure was, when the weekends are, when the peak working days are. And this graphic is from a couple of years ago. Right now, it's even much more pronounced due to the fact that this has become the strategic file platform. And knowing that Mr. David Wild is the following speaker, I have borrowed a bit of information from Australia. So this is the population density and distribution in Australia, and one could assume that there is a significantly higher correlation from population density to where the research population is. And when you wonder that ARNet is running a very successful service on our platform named Cloud Store Plus, when you would derive the distribution of the users on Cloud Store, would it look similar to the population distribution in Australia? And now we're getting back to the introduction slide. No, it's not. It is actually a local Australian NREN using the ownCloud implementation locally. And what we can see here on this screen is that we have a local base of researchers, but research has become globalized. So you can run a global research infrastructure and application with global reach in a country and have federated global research under your data sovereignty and under your own control. And that will allow you to go to an evolutionary step that some NRENs are taking, use an application platform as a success story for your NREN. Transition or expand your entity from a network to also service operations. And service operations will enable strategical independence and value that your organization delivers to the world. And we suggest to take a look at this. We have global and NREN community on the ownCloud side, and we would invite you, all of you, to join in on the journey. Of course, even to the hyperscalers who are working with us on APIs and whatnot, invite you to join us on the journey with these. And I'm sure the list is not complete, to build the greatest research application platform there is, utilizing ownCloud. And with that said, if we have a few minutes, we can go to questions and answers. Otherwise, thank everyone for listening to this brief talk.
Thank you, Christian. I guess you'll have a booth at the Expo Pavilion, right, sir?
Come again? Yes, I believe we have a booth. I haven't spoken to our marketing, but
so what they could do is our attendees can attend, can go to the booth, check your products and services, ask all your questions you'll have.
Yes, and otherwise, just use our contact details, get in touch with us, and we will help you out and assist you. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Christian. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, Melvin.
Thank you. Bye-bye.